go boom anymore. I can now walk
It's
over
already
here,
done.
I can edit this bit out, and then I can add in some rain, and then a little bit of thunder over the top, and then I can go boom! Welcome to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, and then I could have some rumbly thunder going out while I'm at the top of the hit, boom, that kind of stuff. Welcome to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame on the 20th of March 2023. On Thundercloud, Mum Crosby James washed away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rains. Did you know tomorrow is World Poetry Day?
Is that right?
It is. Yeah. And in 4 days' time, it is the 4th anniversary of me walking in the front door here and starting the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. So there we go. 4 years, we're here and we're getting stronger and stronger. We've got coming up this year some really amazing events. Gwen Ashton coming in just next week, next Wednesday actually. There'll be no poetry on Wednesday, but there will be a fantastic blues player here. So even better. So don't expect Wednesday words next week or open mic or anything, but a wonderful blues player, Gwen Ashton, coming here. And then on the 6th of April, we've got the Fiore Musicali, Armadale Chamber Choir coming here as well. And the 12th of April, we also have Songs from the Porch of Life with Jeff Paul and Pam Harter coming from Kyogle area. And that will be a good show too. Tickets for that are only $10 and $15. Gwen Ashton there, $20 and $25. Well, let's begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we broadcast and the traditional custodians right across this country, the Kamilaroi and Banbai people here and all those other First Nations. Acknowledge their continuing connection to the land. Let's also acknowledge all of those servicemen and women who have served this country to protect and bring us to the way of life that we are now living. Yeah, lest we forget. All right, and that'll probably lead into my first two poems later, which are a couple that I wrote in 2019, anti-war kind of things. But first of all, tonight, I really am extremely grateful for this person. This is just what it is amazing, actually. This book here, when I opened in 2020, is Australian Songbird, Molly McNutt, Poetry and Prose. And this was published in 2019, the year before I opened this place, by an historian, I got that right, see, it's not a historian, it's an historian, named Jane Lally from Armadale, from the University of New England. And she came to me and she said, look, I've published this book about Molly McNutt, and it's not only her biography, but it was her collected works. And some of her poetry was published in a book posthumously, and a lot of it was published in school magazines, and Molly McNutt won the Gould League Prize for a song on Australian bird life, capable of being sung to any well-known air, so it's to a tune. And this was in both 1912 and in 1913. Now, before I go on and read these two poems of Molly McNutt's, something very special has just recently happened. Jane Lally, the author of this book, she donated this one when I first got here, and then I bought some off her to resell, and so then I sold out, and I kept selling them because I like to promote these unknown poets, etc., etc. Well, I asked Jane, can I have more books, please, to sell? And Jane has kindly, very kindly, not only donated all of her last printed copies of the Molly McNutt book, but there's something else very special inside here for the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. And if I open it up, I'll take it out. There's these absolutely beautiful bookmarks of the local wattle species here that she's put in here, and they're been pressed and then laminated. But that's not all. What's really special is what's in my hand here, and this one. This is a USB, and on this USB key is the PDF to this book, and this is a letter granting the publishing rights to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. I sign the copyright of my book, Australian Songbird, Molly McNutt, Poetry and Prose, to James Arthur Warren at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. James is free to send the book to a printer and sell copies as he wishes. Jane Lally, 10th of March 2024. So, thank you very much, Jane, like from my heart. Yeah, that's wonderful. So now, let's read Molly McNutt's poetry. The birds I love. Oh, they talk of the songs of the birds o'er sea, of the mavis and merle of the old country, and the song of the skylarks soaring free from the dew-wet lawns in the morning. But give me the magpie's gurgling call, like the prison song of a waterfall, when joyous drifts from the gum trees tall their matin song in the dawning. They say that to hear through the moonlight night the nightingale is a dear delight, but give me the ranges bathed in light and the sound of the bellbirds singing. The chime of their notes like silver bells by fairies rung through our bushland dells, and the love song sweet that the blue wren tells through the scrub and saplings ringing. Oh, I bear no grudge to the birds I'll see, but the birds I love are the birds for me. The wagtail spry with his chirrup-chee on my windowsill in the morning. The dear old Jack with his brave he-ho-ho-he, and silver eye and his melody, and its oh for a forest harmony, Australian birds in the dawning. So yeah, that was the little blurb leading into that. This poem won the Gould League Prize in 1912 for a song on Australian bird life capable of being sung to any well-known air. It won only a little over a decade after Australia became a nation, and still a few years before our baptism of fire as a country in World War I. So the poem reflects the sentiments of many Australians at that time. It's very loving of nature. And that was published in the Sydney Mail as well on October 9th, somewhere between 1912 and 1938. Oh, 1912, yeah, okay. The next one, The Birds of Australia. This poem won first place in the 1913 Gould League literary competition, like in the previous year. One of its criteria was that it could be sung to music. The Birds of Australia. The glamour, the glory of song and story enhances the charm of the birds I'll see. The linty, the laverock, the gay feathered peacock, the sweet singing bulbul, but dear to me. The bush birds are calling mid wild gullies falling away through the ranges that slope to the sea. There parrots low flying in splendour of vying, and gladly out gurgles the magpie dear song. And sweet notes are ringing of ring coaches singing, and carol butcher birds gladsome and strong, while lyre birds near weary and mock songs and cheery, the wise kookaburra laughs loudly and long. Oh, birds of Australia, in spite of our failure with soft words to woo you, our hearts you enthrall. but names that, when spoken, shall faintly betoken the blaze of your beauty, the lure of your call. The shall child lips yet frame you, right well shall they name you, for language's love of lovers is sweetest of all. 1913, The Birds of Australia, published in the Sydney Mail. So that's Miley McNutt. And I've got one more for you here. Jewels. Once I read of priceless jewels flashing with their hidden fire, poured entrance over towers of treasured gems a queen might well desire. Blood-red rubies, warmly glowing, lustrous diamonds, radiant light, dusky pearls and glistening sapphires of the old Arabian Nights. Often, in my childish fancy, did these gems my fingers lave. How I dreamed of finding treasure hidden in some darksome cave. And my dreams have found fruition, jewels rich and rare have I, but my casket's just the bushland, spread beneath a sapphire sky. Not the gems of all the Incas with my treasure trove could vie, not such wealth of light and colour Eastern legends can supply. Never colour scheme like parrots grew upon the Persian looms, never yet did opal rival the bee-eater's wondrous plumes. There's the blue wren's shining feathers for my lapis lazuli. Bears the flash of livering emeralds, busy green keats flying by. Gorgeous the Australian roller, garbed in pearl and amethyst. Cockatoos and honey-eaters add their gold crowns to the list. Topaz, rare in silver setting, drift across the evening sky. Grey galahs, all rosy-breasted, as in companies they fly. Glows the Proven's breast like jacinth, fairer than the olivines, the gay plumage of kingfishers, iridescent blues and greens. But the best of all my jewels are their living gems of song, stabbing to one's heart with beauty in the memory lingering long. Golden notes with a throb, with music, silver showers of melody, till the sights and sounds of bushland merge in one grand harmony. There we go. So yeah, more focus on the birds there from Molly. And I suppose as poets we often write about what we're focused on at the time, or what we know, or what's in our vision. I know Banjo Patterson wrote heaps of stuff about horses, like lots. Now there was a word in there, lave, L-A-V-E, and apparently it means wash. There was another one that I didn't know, which is lapis lazuli. And it's like, I don't know, lapis, isn't it lapidary or something?
No, it's a blue stone that collectors like to collect, and the ancient Egyptians used it a lot.
Okay, yeah.
Lapis lazuli.
It's
semi-precious, it's not very precious. There's lots of
yeah. Lapis lazuli, then it rhymes with flying by.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And jacinth. Jacinth. Glows the Proven's breast like jacinth, so it must be yeah, so you're comparing all these birds to jewels, okay? Very good. Now I'm not going to read out the there's the next section she's got here is about war, because she passed away in 1927, so she lived through World War I. And I'll just read you the first one, maybe. wartime prayer. No, we'll read you the first one. It's a little long, and then we'll Australian remounts. In 1916, oh here she goes, Molly won a competition calling for poems on remounts, fresh horses sent into war to replace those at the front. It's obvious from the poem Molly loved the New England area. Stalwart dams they ran within the mammoth station paddocks, where the roller circles and grey-winged ibis throng. Heard the dingoes howling in the lonesome midnight watches, and the wonder music of the magpie's morning song. Romped across the tussock grass and gambled in the sunshine, smuggled by their mothers through the frost-clear southern nights, while in friendly fashion looked the great cross down upon them, with its 5 points twinkling midst a host of lesser lights. Whether born and bred amongst the blue New England ranges, or in Never Never land of far-flung salt bush plains, sunny smiling Queensland or slopes of cold Monaro, ran the blood of gallant sires in their hounding veins. Fragrant in their nostrils was the breath of gum and wattle. Do they now in foreign lands across the tossing foam, fancy through the darkness, can they hear the mopoke calling, stir in restless slumbers at some fleeting dream of home? Puzzled at the strangeness of the blow that fate has dealt them, war to them a nightmare they can never understand, tugging up the grey guns, stiff and sore and weary, through the snows of somewhere or the scorching desert sand, plunging gamely onward where the cruel shells are screaming, midst the crack of rifles and the bullet zip and thud, winning fame and glory, all unknowing and uncaring, craving but the homestead for those leagues of Flanders mud. Yeah, wow.
That's the best.
It is, isn't it? That's really good. Yeah, that's celebrating the horses and that that went to war. Yeah, wow, really good poem. I hadn't read that one before, but that is good. All right, look, I have got this little one here that I wrote in 2020 when I first got here, and this is called John O the Cool Cat, and it's made into a book. And I'll tell you what, the first person to go onto YouTube and comment John O the Cool Cat, yeah, I will send this to in the mail. I'll post it to, and then when you send it to me, you need to send me your email address, and I'll get in contact to you, and I'll send this to you. Okay, the first person to go on YouTube and write John O the Cool Cat in the comments. Don't forget to like, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification buttons. Ding ding, like that. So you get notified when we've got new poetry videos. And there's well over 1,000 hours of poetry video here on this YouTube channel. So check it all out. All right. I would like to call Gabriel up if that's okay. Yeah?
About 6 weeks ago, I guess it was, and I think it was here, buying a few books here, and a collection called Metverse Muse, edited in India, and a lot of the stuff inside is Indian. And most of it is natural. And most of it is by ordinary people who felt they wanted to say something poetically. And there's quite a few people who aren't from India in it. I've chosen 3 on the basis of the idea that the writer was trying to express is an interesting idea. Never mind how they expressed it so much as what are they actually really trying to say. First one by Miss Anne Haley's from our country of Australia, and it's called Why Is It So? This is a tale of a tailor named Joe, a tailor who sewed clothes for men long ago. Now young Joe was slim, trim, taut and terrific, but some of his clients were almost horrific. As they became wealthy, they weren't always wise, and their torsos would often cause eyebrows to rise. But these men had in common one particular thing. They couldn't see past the great bulge of their skin. Like that. Life has grown more refined since the use of a vine to fasten a garment above man's behind. He progressed from a vine to the more complex twine. Then lo and behold, a belt was designed. The invention of trousers was wondrous indeed, and much more decorous when riding a steed. Then buttons were sewn to the opening side with neatly stitched holes through which they could slide. So the men became nimble, one could say adept, at closing the hole where their 3 jewels slept. But overindulgence in food and fine wine brought a new set of problems they were loath to define. As girths became larger, they were forced to be blunt, for they couldn't see past the bulge out in front. They were worried, they said, if they couldn't close their flies, their jewels may be seen by unknown strangers' eyes. Tailor Joe advised diets, exercise, and restraint, but his suggestions made even the strong men faint. So Joe worked through the night, and just about dawn, the miraculous newfangled zipper was born. Quite unique, plausible. Secondly, by a Mr. David Austin in the UK, and this is called a villanelle, which we've done before, for a dove. You don't often come across villanelles. Beating wings, facile in the frosty air, as snowy skies from horizons loom, a white dove rises from its winter lair. Purity and beauty beyond compare, ghosting the borders of a tree-dark bloom, beating wings facile in the frosty air. Symbol of peace that soothes a dark despair, where gnarled looped branches tremble and entomb, a white dove rises from its winter lair. Faint Christmas stars briefly blossom and flare, light softly shining in my winter room, beating wings facile in the frosty air. Cold gauzy cloud dims a swollen moon's stare, mirrored in ice like a petrified bloom, a white dove rises from its winter lair. Earth in iron grip, the bent trees leaf bare, roots snow deep, and above their drifted womb, beating wings facile in the frosty air, a white dove rises from its winter lair. That's quite nice. And he stretched the villanelle, so only a few times do the lines repeat in full, but he simply does a straightforward rhyme to keep the basic logic of it. Thirdly and lastly, from this magazine tonight, is Chris Rath from Australia. It's called A Sonnet on Poetry, dedicated to Dr. H. Tulsi for her kind publication of his poetry. I think she's one of the co-editors of it. As junk metal, this is interesting as well. As junk metal is to sculpture, so noise is to sweet music, so smears and daubs are to art, as free verse is to poetry, he said in free verse. The arts are vitiated these days by irrationality, which battles men's reasonable philosophy. A civilization which is in a state of disintegration is mirrored logically by the arts of self-annihilation. In the arts, the artist's virtues of rationality and objectivity appear in the ethics and metaphysics of his creativity. The mentality of unaesthetic in artistry is much akin to inhuman insanity. Now, do you reckon that was a quick burst of diarrhea, or do you reckon somebody worked himself time and time again to get that in? I have no idea. It just could be either extreme, that one. And penultimately, I work as a university teacher and have for 45 years, and I'm still doing it because if I retired, I'd be doing nearly the same thing, but for 5% of the money. Yeah. And not everybody that I worked for, or in whose department I was an arsehole. And I had one particular mentor in my time in Hong Kong, and a mutual friend, while I was over in Hong Kong a couple of weeks ago, said, "Did you know Gordon had died?" I said, "No." I said, that really makes me quite sad. I'm going to write. So I wrote and sent a copy to those members of his family that I know, and those colleagues who have still got internet traceable addresses. I got 127 reads, but that wasn't the point. The point was to mark the guy, like a eulogy should have. Here we go. I lost a mentor when he died, but so did many others. And he left grieving more beside colleagues, sons and brothers. With dignity he walked through life, sure-footed, thoughtful, daring, a hero, strong heart for his wife, enlightened, calm but caring. His moral compass never closed, his deals were ever square, his countenance was never posed, his anger just but rare. Now he is gone, we lesser men must keep his torch alight, as we still remember when one leader led us right.
Very nice.
A bit like that Fibonacci thing I did a few months ago. Got lots and lots of strangers reading it and virtually no comments. Now whether that's wow or somewhat,
You know.
I can't imagine. And the other one is, I first went to Macau when I went on my little trip, see old friends there, and then Macau got lots of casinos, and it's the Asian Las Vegas, but it's kind of down at heel now, and there are new casinos, one's called the Londoner, one's called the Parisian, and they've got about as much in common with the capital cities they're named after as Armadale's got in common with Venice. But I also worked a lot of years in Hong Kong, and I always was fairly pleased to get out because it was polluted, overcrowded, everybody was rushing about, and it was where New Yorkers would go to see if they could take real pace. Hong Kongers went to New York. Yeah, you don't know what business is really like. But so I wasn't particularly looking forward to that, just see some friends. But I was wrong, and so I thought I better capture this mood because once I get back home, it'll have gone. So this is an attempt to do that. Of called Heart in Hong Kong. Thought you were just an uneasy prelude to my prime of life. Felt excluded from your inner heart, withdrawing from the strife, waiting for the mainlanders to block the glittering prizes, running off to blander climes, wearing new disguises. Then, never thought of you that much, and only with mixed feelings. Revisiting was no big deal, to come, to shop, no meanings. But now, March starts. 9 dragons wink, my heart thumps sonic boom. I love you after all, sweet stink. You gleam, you move, you groom. From Fortress Hill to Shamshui Po, from Lantau to Bangkok. There is no dull, belaboured, slow streetscape round the clock. Here's to Ho's roast goose, greasy, to black taro, dim sum, and to Osmanthus oolong tea, to Beijing duck in plum. Food that delights every part, like velvet black swan taro. Lively sights from bus, train, tram, energize my marrow. Now you have made a great rewriting of my prime of life. It's clear that time was so exciting, even with the strife. I will for sure be back again like salmon back up river, heart chakra open, jade green bang, blockage swooshed out forever.
What year was that?
Last week.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah.
Well, the visit was to remember like 30 years earlier.
Yeah.
But that was last week.
Yeah, no, that's
because it's 21 years since I lived in China for 6 months teaching English, and you going through all of the food sort of stuff there really brought back all of the memories, and particularly I've just been talking to Sky earlier about Sichuan hot pot and stuff like that and all that.
Well, Hong Kong food is even better than it ever was, but Macau and Zhuhai on the China side, not so inspiring this time.
Yeah. The other interesting thing that really caught my ear was the New Yorkers going to Hong Kong to see if they could handle the pace, and one of the really cultural contrasts is the way that we think about work and time. In the Western world, we generally want to only work 40 hours a week, and everyone's aiming to do less. So we have a 40-hour concept, sort of as a basis, but they have a 996 number. So 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. That's how they think about it. So you're looking at quite a lot of hours, something like 96 hours a week or something. Crazy like that, yeah. So there's not many people in Australia that I know do that all kind of hours, but you could sort of, I remember living in Nanchong, and you could walk downstairs any time of the day and these shops would be open until late at night, and the owner would be there sitting on a little stool out the front, maybe playing mahjong, waiting for that one customer to come in, eating a few sunflower seeds.
Yeah, it was really good to see that, because with all that's happened in Hong Kong with the crackdowns, you'd have thought they'd be all depressed and sort of sulky and morose. And it seems to have triggered the exact opposite effect of a complete entrepreneurial regeneration and plenty of activity.
Yeah, and that's this entrepreneurial spirit that exists in China is amazing, because it's that raw capitalism that Deng Xiaoping really says, let's embrace capitalism. And you see it everywhere. You could be like halfway up a mountain in the middle of nowhere, and there'll be this dude with a drink stand and cigarettes for sale. Everywhere there's people like that. Everyone's got a side hustle or a cashy. And I know there's a lot less taxes paid. I think there's only 5% income tax, by the way, in China. Wow, how about that, eh? Amazing. 5% income tax. But then about 95% of people actually avoid tax. But the government doesn't mind that, because it actually gives them something to hold over people, to control them. You haven't paid the taxes, so then if they want to crack down on someone, they can. Yeah. Oh, look, we've got some wonderful events coming up here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. We've got the Australian Poetry Slam here in August, and in November we've got the Poets on the Mountain Festival again. And I'm calling for volunteers to help with the organisation of both of these. And in fact, in the Diary Gazette today, there was an article that I published and put in here. Saul! Hey, Saul! And the article, I'm going to read it out to you anyway. Volunteers needed for poetry events. The Gaira community is gearing up for an exciting line of poetry events, and organisers are calling for enthusiastic volunteers to join the team and make these occasions truly special. From the heat and workshops of the Australian Poetry Slam on the 14th and 15th, to the Poets on the Mountain Festival scheduled November 12th to 17th, there are plenty of opportunities to get involved. And then it just goes on. There's lots of blah blah about me just talking about different things. From seasoned poets to aspiring wordsmiths, there will be something for everyone to enjoy and participate in. And very, very soon we've got Steve Wordsmith coming up. And to ensure the success of both the Poetry Slam and the festival, I'm looking for volunteers who are willing to play crucial roles in organising and running these events, such as helping with tasks, promoting logistics, stage management and workshop facilitation. So I'm welcoming volunteers from all walks of life. And so I'm going to hold monthly organising meetings scheduled for the first Monday of each month at 5:30 here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Yes, that is on my day off, but I will do that because I just love so poetry. So yeah, if you're interested in doing that, anyone here or anyone out there, the contact me, send me an email, oneenglishone@gmail.com. Right, now, before I get Steve Wordsmith up, I'll do two little quick ones for you. The first, these were written in 2019, and I guess because, a bit of wars on the agenda here and there, the Ruskies are killing the Ukrainians or whatever, and vice versa, and the Israelis are bombing bombing Jesus out of Palestine, bombing Moses out, aren't they? Or Muhammad, they're bombing Muhammad out, but what's really interesting is that really the psyche change is that once upon a time, if there was a war, all other nations would go, "Oh, I'm in, let's go!" And now, nobody wants to get involved. Have you noticed that? Like if America was going to war, or like even when the French murdered Gaddafi because he wanted to have like an African dinner based on gold. Like they took a whole bunch of everyone, let's go and get him. It's things are different now. Apart from perhaps America, who still wants to send people to the Ukraine and money to the Ukraine so that they prop up their arms industry, and I'm sure that's probably why Israel needs more too, because they've got a big arms industry. Yeah. Follow the money. A little boy named James liked his fun and games and says, "There's a problem that I see and it's messing with my brain. Can I make a suggestion? Can I make an idea? Can I suggest an idea? Imagine if militaries, bombs, guns, wars and borders disappeared. Think of a world without wars. Imagine a world without fear and that universal love, peace and bliss is the goal. Wouldn't that be a wonderful idea? You may want to consider being peaceful and divest from the military-industrial complex, investing in technology for all life to thrive, not destructive companies in the ASX. Have you thought about the end of war? Can you imagine worldwide peace? In safety, all humans free to travel and trade from north to the south to the west and the east? Can I make a suggestion? Can I suggest an idea? Imagine the day when all wars go away and a worldwide peace will appear. Isn't it time to get out of the psychosis, your nightmare of violence and war, and nurture each day or life and give a hand to the vulnerable and poor? A little boy named James had a great idea. Imagine when all the wars and weapons disappear. But it's not just my idea. I'm just a boy named James, but I'm sure that you can imagine a world with peace and no war games. Get an outlaw with weapons, like totally. Yeah. But then, yeah, how would you have weapons to like arrest anyone who's got weapons? Yeah, it's a catch-22, really, isn't it? Well, look, I would like to I'll do the Mozart one just before I invite Steve Wordsmith up. Imagine if Mozart came back today in 2023, 2024, and he was a rapper. This is what he might say. I am Mozart, and I'm back. I'm the greatest musician, not Michael Jackson. I am Mozart. I paint pictures with my music. I'm black bitches. I am Mozart, and I'm whack. I am Mozart, and I've come back. My name is Mozart. I've returned in another life. My name's Mozart. I sing, dance, and write. What would Mozart say if he was here today? He would dance, sing, write, music, enjoy every day. My name is Mozart, and I'm back. My name is Mozart. My rhymes are whack. My name is Mozart. I'm a genius with rhymes and rhythms, melodies. I'm the meanest. I play jungle and hip-hop too. I rap music, R&B and boogaloo. My name is Mozart. I've come back. I play the ukulele, piano melodica, whack. My name is Mozart, and I've got the rhymes, and I have returned just one more time. Something like that. Yeah, you probably do with editing, but anyway, I don't care. Steve Wordsmith, come on up. We'll get edited one day. Yeah.
G'day, James.
Hello, Steve.
Hello, everybody. It's always good to be here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Seeing James and the thundercloud on the poet from down under. I live underneath the stage down here. Sometimes when we travel across this world, we want to know where, I see all these magic things that people say about the world and such. And I haven't been around the world, but I've been around the block. I don't know it all, but I know a bloody lot. I don't have a house or a place of abode. I spend most of my time on the side of the road. I'm an outback poet just moving around with my heart in the bush and my feet on the ground. I've travelled this land from the top to the bottom. I've been to the Murray and I've seen the cod rotten. I've travelled from east and I've travelled from west. I've travelled with zeal and I've travelled with zest. It's wonderful to be here, and I would like to really just say hello to all the friends that I know at the moment, the ones I've met in the past and the ones I've yet to meet. And really, I want to say hello to a really good mate of mine, a bloke called Bob Stanley Green. Now, Bob has been probably one of my closest mates over the years, and for many years we have been in interesting situations. And he was the man that was with me when we shot that crocodile, which inspired the Crocodile Dundee. We have worked together, we have played together, and we have fought together. And it was his birthday this last weekend, and I just really want to say hello to this guy. He lives over in the western countries now, western part of this country, and he's a fabulous guy, and all his family there, they're good people. I'll tell you a tale of a good friend of mine, a hard-hitting turd of a man. This old Bob would fight at the drop of a hat without any reason or plan. Well, this is the truth of old Granny, a man that was always in strife. When he rolled up his fist to take to a man, it was like taking thunder to fight. Well, we've been in many a scuffle and we've been in many a fight, but the only time in my memory that he didn't come up looking fine was Jenny, his good wife, blew out his lights by hitting him in the head with the iron. Yeah, they are some people that I would just like to say happy birthday to you, Bob. And you've been a good mate. You've saved me a couple of times there. You've shot taipans from above my head, and we've been in many a scuffle, mate. And I thank you very much. And you've always been my best mate and my brother. Thank you, Bob. Yes, for many years we've travelled around this country telling stories, and it's interesting as we get into the poetry of this country and we see the things that's generated by the poets and such of this country, and the stories it's told of things that touch us as issues, the things that give us thoughts and thinking in the way that we walk around and we see special things. Some people write poetry about flowers, some people write poetry about clouds. It just depends where you're writing and what is touching you at the moment, and that is a wonderful place to be. And if we can keep writing it down, because one of the things that James has totally achieved here, and that is by making a home for poetry in this country, a home that many of them poets, and you can come here and you can get your books on Henry Lawson and Banjo Patterson, but you can also get the books of grandmas that she just happened to write a few poems into a book, and it's there somewhere on the shelf, and somewhere around the place, the wonderful poetry of the people, the normal people of this country, and sometimes the larrikin people of this country are writing too. And that's always good, and I commend James for what he's done here. You know, we've got this Poets on the Mountain, which is really starting to move along now, and it looks like it's going to be a big event. Also, you know, next year is the 27th celebration of the Oracles of the Bush. It's the 27th year, but it also is the final year, which is a real shame because it's a wonderful event and it brings poetry to the forefront in this country. I was there at the start of it. Me and Brian Meldon came up with the idea in the first part of in about 2000 was the year 2000, because the Federation year was 2001, and Federation is where Henry Parkes set up and made he made the birthplace of the nation in that town, in the Tenterfield. And when you come to that place, you know, people weren't quite sure why Henry Parkes in 1869 made the speech of Federation, but he just jumped off the train there in Tenterfield, and the School of Arts made the speech of Federation. And I happened to be the cobbler at the time in that place there, and I sort of looked a little bit like him, so they stuck me in and I led the Federation parade, and that was always cool. The reason old Henry came to Tenterfield has always been a mystery. He came to visit the cobbler. The likeness to him was profound. Old Henry was a drinking man with a vision of bringing the states together, but when it came time for him to make his speech, old Henry was under the weather. Well, they showered him and hosed him down, but things were not so good, so they smartened up the cobbler, and in for Henry he stood. This is a tale that's known by few, so don't spread it around, but don't leave the birthplace of this land unless you've met the cobbler of this town. See, Tenterfield has a great history of, there's a number of things that have moved and made Tenterfield we remember. One of the things is, you know, like the Tenterfield Saddler in Peter Allen in the 60s there made a song, and it was about his grandfather that was the cobbler of Tenterfield at that time. And, you know, at that time there used to be a song, and if life is a traveller, Tenterfield Saddler. Well, I reckoned if life was a wobbler, Tenterfield Cobbler. See, so I'd just carry it on and move it in that way, you know. We sort of building boots and making and saving people's souls if it was possible. Because if they fell off, that's the way it was there. You know, there was nothing better than to be able to put a set of R.N. Williams together and make them brand new again. And that was always good, you know, because people had that opportunity to be able to get that favourite pair of boots that they had and rebuild them to what they wanted, and that was beautiful. There's many tales that are told about things in this country. We as poets write all sorts of stories and different things that we're told. And sometimes they move us in deep ways and they move people around. And the intention is to be able to just spread the stories and keep the stories of the past. And I'd just like to thank you and say good night to everybody and have a really good day. Thank you.
Throwing some rubbling while I'm running in there. Thank you very, very much, Steve, for those kind words and of encouragement too. it's really close to me, this place, and well, of course, I live here. I mean, how close can you get? No, I really do care about it heaps and heaps and heaps. And one of the things, the oracles of the bush, wow, what a fantastic thing, been going 27 years. It did have a couple of years off during COVID because of COVID, but it has been going. And unfortunately up there in Tenterfield, the committee has grown old and retiring. They cannot get new people interested who want to take it on. So this leaves an opportunity for the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Not only for the Poets on the Mountain Festival, which is in November. And my thoughts on that, I probably overdid it last year, and I'll probably take it back to maybe 3 or 4 or 5 days this year, from the 12th to the 7th.
It could be advantageous for the whole town, though, James.
Well, yeah, Poets on the Mountain, I would like to keep taking that on in November with the competition. The other thing is, and I'll finish off, is that the opportunity is there, and it has been suggested by a number of people, a lot of people actually, poets around the place, that I take it on, that kind of a thing. I'm thinking that it's probably because it's time to reinvent something, to invent something new perhaps, not reinvent, try and reinvent a wheel, but Tom McElveen suggested a poetry and folk festival. Sitting over there, we could call it Folk and Spoken. Yeah, it's Folk and Spoken. As in folk and spoken word, folk music, I don't know. Anyway, but just an idea. Before I invite Saul Cararella up, what have I got for you? Oh, okay. This is dedicated to Carolyn. Carolyn Palmer, she's a local lady. She told me about the pole painter who wasn't a pothole plugger. Driving down the main street, I hit a pothole in my car, my tyre deflated, the rim was bent, I wasn't going far. I saw a council worker who was painting poles beside potholes. I walked over to him and asked him, "Why don't you fill the holes?" He replied, "I'm Peter Pole Painter, filling holes is not my job. There's another fella who fills holes and his name is Bob." Feeling so frustrated, I began to rant and scream, "You both work for the council, am I living in a dream?" Peter the Pole Painter said, "There's nothing I can do. If I filled the potholes, there'd be one job, and not two. There would be no one for me to stand about with and chat. Me or Bob would have no job, and there'd be only one hard hat." Further down the road, I met Mick, the supervisor. He referred me to his overseer, whose name was Eliza. Eliza said she couldn't help because it's not her job. "You need to see the overseer of Pot Hill Filler, Bob." The overseer of Potholes said, "You must fill in a form. It could take a month or more. I feel I need to warn. I feel I must inform. Then I must send the form right down through the line. Getting potholes filled by Bob is going to take quite some time." I stormed into the council chambers. I didn't give a greeting. All the councillors were seated, gathered in a meeting. "Your potholes all need filling. They have stuffed my tyre. How can I get the potholes filled? This council's a quagmire." Peter, the pole painter, said, "Potholes is not my job. Eliza referred me to the overseer of pothole filling, Bob. Getting potholes filled is appearing quite remote. The mayor stood up and answered, "Let's put this to a vote. I move that the council pays to fix the tyre of Caroline. Bob's on long service leave and this could take some time." Well, Bob, the councillors all voted to pay for my tyre repairing and the potholes still aren't fixed, much to my despair. All the poles in town have a new coat of paint. Apart from all the potholes, our town is looking quaint. Bob has now just retired and they've advertised his job and the only applicant was Peter, who's replacing Bob. And I'm the gorilla sign implanter all around the town, putting signs by potholes like, "Don't swim here, you'll drown." And just last week, this pothole swallowed a school bus, and people come from far and wide to photograph the fuss. Peter's now a pothole plugger, plugging all our potholes. Bob's son Patrick is painting poles. He used to work at Coles. The council is bankrupt and under administration, still is overstaffed, and there's no change to the situation. And this is what is happening to your taxes and rates. It's time to streamline government, abolish councils and the states. The truth is councils overstaffed, and this is not a joke. Too many layers of bureaucracy mean these councils going broke. Yeah, that's
Good.
yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, and that's actually like all based on a true story, according to Carolyn Butler. Yeah, she did. She stuffed the tyre. She had that experience with the dude when he was painting poles, and she asked him, and she went into the council chambers, and they voted and fixed her tyres, and they didn't fix the pothole. I know. Meanwhile, in Australia,
Make a slush fund for the tyres, you know.
Oh, they do. It's like they have a slush fund for lawnmowers that throw stones and break windows. You ever get a stone chip, you just like drive past the council lawnmower man and then you go and call the council and say, "Oh, he broke my window with his lawnmower and I paid for it." Don't tell everyone that or everyone will be doing it. Go on. You got a chip, haven't you? Didn't that happen when you went past that like local council dude out there, like on the lawnmower? Yeah, I'm sure I saw that stone hit your Yeah, I heard it too, yeah.
Plenty of witnesses.
Nearly whizzed past my eyes. Saul Cararella, welcome to Gyra. Have you got something for us?
I'll find something.
Oh, fantastic. We need to end kitten trafficking, I believe.
We need to end what?
Kitten trafficking.
Kitten trafficking.
Yeah, a horrific end for furry things. Every kitten is a treat. PAN is made of pussy meat. Even though it may taste cute, little kittens are so cute, and kitten trafficking today, so little kittens can still play with toy mice and balls of string. Please end kitten trafficking.
You heard it.
You heard it first. Yeah.
My goodness. Okay. I sort of have been run off and got a bit late and everything today, and so I haven't sort of organised anything. But I'll read a couple that I just sort of that I like to read just because they're fun. So this one, as you probably all know, I have a bit of a thing about the moon. This one's called Tales of the Moon. And it's about having a bit of fun on the beach. Tales of the Moon. Pouring from the moon, splashing through the trees. making love to you, making love to me. Highlights in the shadows, shadows all the rest. Cascading on our love, by moonbeams we are blessed. Drawn in from the sea, drifting through the dunes, making love to you, making love to me, making love to you. Animates the shadows, sighs love songs through the grasses, carries off our scented sweat, the breeze cools our pumping asses. Openness, connection, we fall onto the love of us, making love to all, making love to us. Meeting in the shadows, they are melted by our flame. The sky above inspires what the earth beneath maintains. Woo! That was written at an Easter time, probably 4 or 5 years ago, so it's a bit of an Easter feeling to it. I can imagine, there's lots of Capricorns around, so yeah. Let me see. Where do I go? This is another lovely. I got many lovely things here. Unless I want to read something long or something, so I'll just. Okay. To be a drop, bit of. Anyway. To be a drop of coffee. I have held you oh so tight. A little self-edit here. It's all right. Sometimes I have a false beginning. Anyway, to be a drop of coffee. I have held you oh so tight in my imagination every night. Picture perfect in every way, our bodies melded into one. In a seamless fantasy of sheer delight, but it wasn't quite the same when I saw you once again. Caress my eyes. Your eyes like 1,000 candle flames. Your hand upon the coffee cup, so graceful with its touch. Your lips with every sip sent tingles down my spine. From the threads of hair upon your head to the red shoes that wrap your toes. You put my imagination to shame, and in our momentary embrace, I live 1,000 lives again.
Yeah, nice.
And this is a little bit of a philosophical sort of a thing about doing things. Into the street I go walking. The sky up above is so blue. Man, it's so nice to see you, they say. Hello, and how do you do? I'm okay, I lie to them. Thank you, and how are you? All of the time that I smile and talk and smile, I'm wishing that they were you. Into the world I go walking, hoping for change on my mind. Man, you're so full of ambition, they say. What is it you're hoping to find? Surely you see, I say to them, how can we all be so blind? All of the money in the hands of so few, it feels like we're wasting our time. Into this life we go willing, hoping to fulfill all our dreams. Man can't believe everything that they say. Rarely are things what they sing. A stitch in time saves 9, I'm told, when you're falling apart at the seams. All of the while in the subconscious mind, there's no such thing as false dreams. Questions look for answers from the deep. We all believe that the truth is what we breathe. But no hopes, no hope. And feelings give us passion for our deeds. Life is full of what we do, not what we hope comes true. And that'll do me for today.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Thank you very much.
So Cararella, everybody. This week I was in a Zoom meeting with Elizabeth Montgomery, not Elizabeth Montgomery from Bewitched because she's dead. This is Elizabeth with an S, not a Z. Yeah, Elizabeth Montgomery. I know. Everyone was hoping that she would, wiggle her nose and came back, but she didn't. Anyway, she was representing the Ruth. Excuse me. I can cut this bit out, can't I? I can cough away, cut it out. Yeah. Yeah, she was representing the Ruth Weiss Foundation, WEISS. That's like a Weiss bar without an S on the end. So it's only one Weiss bar, not the plural Weisses. Ruth Weiss. She was a beat goddess poet, beat poet. She was a friend of Ginsberg. And she only passed away in 2020. And why was I in a Zoom meeting with Bewitched Elizabeth Montgomery? Because they're having a haiku competition. Yes, a haiku competition, an international one, and she wanted me to do some writing for that as well. So I will post that on the Facebook page when it becomes available and I get more details. I would read some Ruth Weiss poetry to you, but I actually don't have any, so I won't. So there, what have I written this week? One poem, that's it. Now I collated all of my 2019 poetry and it came to a book of 950 pages. I know. I was writing like 3 or 4 poems a day in 2019. This year I've definitely been much less prolific. And this week I've only written one. Unless I've written, I've only really written one. But I have done some painting, so I have done a bit of creativity, which is cool. And I've learned how to edit videos and put sound effects on my videos too. Yeah, like dings and whistles and booms. Water. Well, look, I've been learning in a very deep dive, learning about cryptocurrency, blockchain, decentralized finance, also DePIN, decentralized physical infrastructure networks. Did you know there's a new thing called teleport, which is a decentralized Uber? Now, Uber just got screwed over in the court and made to pay taxi drivers in Australia $230 million plus. But this decentralised app will just revolutionise it and no one will actually own Uber, and it means that drivers will get paid better and customers won't have to pay so much and Uber won't take a massive cut. So anyway, cryptocurrency, it's just another form of value. Like if I swapped a carton of eggs for a box of tomatoes or something like that, its value, everything can be thought of as having some monetary value. Fiat currency is just another form of value, like tomatoes. I've got Australian dollars, Australian tomatoes, American dollars, American tomatoes, gold, etc., and all of the baskets of cryptocurrencies. If people agree that something's worth something, then it's worth something. What a tool money is. Water, it's like water, I figure. Water flows fast in the highs, flows slow in the lows, expands when heat is applied, and is solid when froze. Money is like water and flows, and when it flows it's liquid, and when energy is applied it grows, and when golden fiat currency is solid. It doesn't really work too well, but anyway. In the bank, my money is digital, held on a digital ledger in bold. I bought water for coins of silver and sold the water for coins of gold. Water evaporates, becomes clouds. Fiat is devalued when printed. Invest money, don't save like the crowds. Your rights to cash can be rescinded. Water in current flows, and cryptocurrency is a kind of money into oceans containing gold and grows. Bitcoin is digital gold currency, liquid and running. Yeah, could do with improvement, but anyway, that's what I've written this week. Not very much, really. really. But I will finish with one poem by the great Anon. One big ball. Hitler has only one big ball, Goering has two but very small. Himmler has something similar, but poor Goebbels has no balls at all. Pass the piss pot, Mary. That's the first one I opened it to. You know, classic, hey, you know, Anon. I didn't even know it was Australian, that one. Yeah. A World War song for marching. Also by Anon, World War II marching song. There once was a farmer who lived by a school, a simple young fellow who played with his toys in the shed with the lady next door, which wasn't surprising because she was a haughty old lady. She'd sew and she'd knit while the boys in the farm were shoveling shavings and sawdust, baling the herds and carefully picking up freshly dropped turtle eggs which they found in the grass, and gave to the lady to put in the artichoke tin which she kept on the shelf right next to the bench, where she fingered herself raising flour while making a crust, till the young farmer came in and he licked the bowl and the spoons till it made him quite sick. And the lady got worried and she grabbed his dirty old coat, which was covered in muck, and sent him back home without even a feed, just in case his poor tummy got sore. And in the end, and that is the end, because there isn't no more. That's a little bit like
I saw the Chinaman doing up their flies up there, and mosquitoes and all that. That's the end of all of it. Yeah.
It's like you expect the rude word, but it's not. Like, what's the one my dad used to sing? Auntie Mary had a canary, she also had a duck. A whale came up the starboard side and bit right off. A cock-a-doodle-doo, it's nothing to do with you, and leave it alone and play with your own and paddle your own canoe. Something like that, yeah. I like that one, yeah, I've never seen that one. There once was a farmer who lived by a school, a simple young fellow who played with his toys in the shed with the lady next door, which wasn't surprising because she was a haughty old lady, and she'd sew and she'd knit while the boys in the farmyard were shoveling shavings and sawdust and baling the herds and carefully picking up freshly dropped turtle-dove eggs which they found on the grass and gave to the lady to put in a artichoke tin which she kept on the shelf right next to the bench, where she fingered her self-raising flour while making a crust, till the young farmer came in and he licked her bowl and the spoons till it made him quite sick, and the lady got worried and she grabbed his dirty old coat which was covered in muck and sent him back home without even a feed, in case his poor tummy got sore. And that is the end, because there is no more. I think the delivery second time is better.
Absolutely.
Much better. Yeah. All right. Well, that's the end. Thank you very much. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you, Saul. Thank you, Sky, for your giggles and laughter. It wouldn't be the same without it. Awesome. And a really huge, big shout out and thank you to Jane Lally for her generous donation of the Molly McNutt book and the rights to publish it. So thank you once again. And if you've liked this note, make sure you give it a thumbs up, click on like and subscribe and the notification bell, because ding ding, you'll get notified when the next video comes up. See you later. Boom. Rain and storm and finish.